Ah, Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. Let's get to my low, my high, my act of kindness. Yeah, my low is I spent too much time in bed this morning. I did. I totally goofed. I totally messed that up. But I'm feeling a little bit rested. Problem is, though, there's somewhere I gotta be at 9, and it's after 20 after 8, so luckily where I gotta go to is about maybe 5 minutes away. Let's see. My high is, there's actually quite a bit of housekeeping that I need to do, and luckily there's only one NFL pick. It's pick number 209. It's between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. I'm picking the Buccaneers. Hey, there we go. I just made my NFL pick. Is it even been 2 minutes yet? No, it's not. Okay, but for real though, I think the Buccaneers are going to win tonight. I just know they are. They're clearly the better team in that division, for sure. And the fact that they're home only further proves that point. What's my act of kindness? Well, my act of kindness was I spent, well, here's the thing. There was someone I know who was having car trouble, and because they didn't really have any means of going anywhere, I stayed with them for, however long they needed help, so, yeah. Come to think of it, I left before the car was probably fixed. So maybe it'll be fixed by the time. Maybe it'll be fixed next time I see him. Who knows? Okay, so I did my NFL pick. Again, picking the Buccaneers over the Falcons. What else is there to? Well, I mentioned there's some housekeeping. Where do I start? About the fact that one of my favorite comedians had a stand-up special come out. Been a while since it's been a good while since I've talked about one of my favorite comedians doing a stand-up special. And it was Matt Rife doing another crowd work special. Before I get into that, I think I should probably get into my experiences and history with Matt Rife. Because in 2023, I remember Matt Rife just exploded in like 2023, 2024, like that period of time. He just exploded in popularity. Like, unless you actually paid attention to what he did on Wildin' Out, you would think this guy came completely out of thin air. And to be perfectly honest, I only know he was on Wildin' Out after I looked him up because I had no idea who he was either. So I went to YouTube, type in Matt Rife, and there was a bunch of old clips of him on Wildin' Out, as well as some stand-up related stuff. So I watched some of that, and I gotta say I was thoroughly I liked what I saw. I did. I also got a chance to really know his story when he was on Bert Kreischer's podcast, the Birdcast. How he saw Dane Cook live, and that's when he knew he wanted to be a stand-up comedian. How it was Ralphie May that gave him his big break in the industry, and he opened for Matt Rife. He opened for Ralphie May. He went on tour with Ralphie May. It was also Ralphie May that gave Matt Rife his very first hit of weed. So, it was fascinating to get to know his story. And you do see elements of what he's about in his stand-up, especially in his stand-up specials. I mean, all of his stand-up specials, his first 3 ones are up on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. It was OnlyFans, Matthew Stephen Rife, and Red Flag, which was essentially an all crowd work special, but it wasn't really advertised as such. Where, OnlyFans, you get to, it's his first thing. I think like he only had a budget of like 50 grand or something like that to put it on or whatever. So, he put it on and it was a massive hit. Matthew Stephen Reif had a much bigger budget, and Stephen is his middle name. It's named after his grandfather who sadly passed away. He also talked about the greatest Christmas gift he ever got, which I'll get into that. Actually, can I talk about the Christmas gift he got for his grandfather? Shoot, I don't know if I can do that. And then Red Flags, which is essentially, if you don't know, the term red flags is you meet someone, but there's something about them that immediately turns you away. That's what's called a red flag. And a green flag does the opposite. It makes you, it wants you to be around that person more. That's a green flag. So there we go. And basically, red flags was, talking about being in relationships and meeting people and being in relationships. It was actually quite funny. And then he had not one, not two, but now three stand-up specials on Netflix. There was Natural Selection, where it took place in DC. Lucid, which that was advertised as his first, crowd work special, which I did a video on that when it came out, and even now I'm still impressed of how not only was it actually all completely crowd work, but they actually managed to stay on topic, which set the groundwork for this new special, Unwrapped. And come to think of it, it was one of the reasons why yesterday's video was about what it was about. I talked about all the Christmas traditions that, I had, and that's what happens in Unwrapped. Matt Rife is doing crowd work, asking questions to the crowd, what do you guys do on Christmas? And some traditions, I knew about, like Kwanzaa and Hanukkah, and, I should say holiday traditions, excuse me. So, Kwanzaa and Hanukkah. There were some things I didn't know about, like Muslims have Eid, which, fun fact, in 2030, both Eid and Christmas are going to fall on the same day. So I thought that was interesting. There's the white elephant gift, the white elephant party, which I have no idea what that was until this special. Some people stay in their pajamas all day. Okay, that's really cool. What else? Sometimes it's making recipes and passing them down along with to the next generation. Such in the case of one woman says that she makes tamales with her family. I've never had tamales before, but I've heard a lot of good things about them. And it was actually really fun, and I mean, yes, again, and I said this before, it's Matt Rife. You're either going to like him or you don't. I've definitely met plenty of people who, enjoy Matt Rife's stand-up comedy. I definitely know some people who really can't stand him. And I will admit, when I first saw him on, when he first blew up in popularity, I myself was actually quite skeptical. But over time, as I got to watch him more, he grew on me, and I enjoy what he does. I do. I think he's quite funny. I think he really is what this next generation of comedians is going to be. Because if I can describe his comedy, it is very much like pushing a few boundaries. It is. And a couple times he may cross the line a bit, but because he's been doing stand-up for so long, And because he's been in front of hundreds of, probably even millions of people over the span of his career, you know, he knows how to work a crowd. And he knows how to, like, if he thinks he's going too far, he knows how to win the audience back, which is actually quite difficult for anyone to do. So the fact he can do that is quite impressive. Overall, I actually do like, I did like this stand-up special that Matt Rife did. I mean, it is great that he has not one, well, technically he has 3 stand-up specials that are crowd work, but, you know, I'm actually glad that, you know, you have, again, specials like OnlyFans or Natural Selection or Matthew Stephen Rife, where he can easily just, you know, go into, you know, what a normal comedian does, is like tell jokes and stories and makes people laugh. So, you know, it's great that, you know, he's living out his dream. You know, he said he wanted to do stand-up comedy, and by golly, he's doing just that. And it's really cool. I can't wait to see what else he does next. I'd like to see him, you know, branch out a little bit more. I mean, yeah, he was on Wild. Listen, again, Wild 'N Out's one of those shows where you're either going to like it or hate it, or you're going to hate it. Me personally, I actually thoroughly enjoy that show. For whatever reason, that show just makes me giggle. So, actually, that was funny. When Matt Rife was on Bert Kreischer's podcast, you know, they're talking like, if I can just get on TV, like, if I can just be in a movie, or get on a good TV show. And Bert Kreischer's like, don't even start. Wild 'N Out's my favorite shows ever. And Matt Rife's like, wow. One of my favorite shows ever. It's horrible. One of my favorite shows ever. I mean, yeah, I like Wild 'N Out. I do. Unfortunately, I never really get many opportunities to see it, but if it's ever on, I'm definitely sticking around to watch, because I know I'm in for a laugh. Whether Matt Rife is on the show or not. Honestly, you know, this was a really fun, I mean, I get it. If you don't like Matt Rife, you're not going to like this new stand-up special. I can guarantee you're not going to like it. But, you know, if you're open to, you know, checking out someone different than what, I mean, listen, there are some people who don't even like stand-up comedy at all, which is fine. You know, far be it for me to tell you what your own opinion should be. But then again, if you couldn't tell, I'm a guy that likes to have fun. I'm a guy that likes to have a good time, and I definitely want to have a good laugh every now and again. And that's what comedians like Matt Rife, or Eliza Schlesinger, or Bert Kreischer, or Ron Funny. I really could go on and on with how many comedians I watch and enjoy. Fortune Feimster, Margaret Cho, you know, Whitney Cummings, Amy Schumer, you know, even some of the old classics like, you know, Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle. Actually, to this day, I still get, like, seriously, I looked up the other day, like, sometimes I'll just check how my old videos are doing on YouTube to see if anyone's still watching them, and, like, when I talked about Dave Chappelle's The Dreamer, like, for me, it blew up in views. Like, apparently I'm not the only person on here who likes Dave Chappelle. Yeah, I mean, listen, Matt Rife is good, but, you know, he's got a long way to go before he's in that echelon of, like, you know, again, Dave Chappelle or, you know, Chris Rock or, you know, any of those guys. But, you know, I think Matt Rife has a bright future ahead of him. You know, I definitely would love to see him do more than just stand-up. And, yeah, I wouldn't mind him seeing him, like, as he would say, on a good TV show. I mean, again, if you watch him on Wild 'N Out, I think he is hilarious. Um, I firmly do believe that, he'd crush whatever he winds up doing in the future. Whether he does, TV or, movies or, when he could just stick to doing stand up and he'd be fine, you know? There's definitely no wrong way. I mean, listen, just as long as you don't make any dumb decisions, you can pretty much flourish in any career that you choose to put yourself in. And I mean, listen, whether or not you like Matt Rife, I would admit he's doing everything the right way. He doesn't do anything. You don't hear him like doing anything scandalous in the papers or the news. You don't hear him do anything, crazy or illegal. He's doing everything the right way. And, given the theme of his last stand-up special, yeah, I think he's on the nice list. Why not? That was that. I don't want to give too much. Technically I did give away some of what the special is. So Matt Rife asking the crowd about, holiday traditions. But at the end of the special, they zoom in on all the people that he talked to specifically throughout the special. And they say if they're on the naughty or nice list based on a story that they make up about them. That part was actually quite funny. There was a few people that person's gonna be on the nice list, and then they're not. Or some people they're gonna be on the naughty list, and they are. Yeah, that part was great. Man, again, I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, man, it's on Netflix right now. 'Tis the season to watch any and all things Christmas or holiday related. So, yeah, Matt Rife's Unwrapped on Netflix. Check it out. Hope you like this video. If you like this YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I'm very humble this video for all you guys watching Joe Video. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. And remember, if you guys want to talk to me, we get to let me know. Always back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.